footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, bring you our preview of the 2013 Russell Athletic Bowl between the Miami Hurricanes and the Louisville Cardinals. Now let's take a look at some keys to victory for both teams, starting with Miami. The Miami Hurricanes enter this bowl game with a 9-3 record, and yes, this offense has lost a lot of its punch without Duke Johnson, but there's still enough talent to be successful versus Louisville. Quarterback Stephen Morris in this matchup versus the Cardinals can't fall into the trap of making this a Morris versus Bridgewater game. He has to stay within the framework of the offense and outplay Louisville's defense with efficiency. The offensive line, in my opinion, can have some success versus the defensive front of the Cardinals, and if Morris is efficient, they can be very effective versus one of the stingiest defenses in the country. Defensively, in the secondary is where Miami has to be excellent. Winning the individual matchups along the outside will be important if they're able to not only get aggressive versus the Cardinals' wide receivers, but also throw off the timing. That could open up Bridgewater for delayed pressure in an attempt to get him on the ground. So I think that's where the X factor will lie in this matchup. Miami's secondary matching up versus the outstanding receivers of Louisville. And also on the inside, if they're able to get that interior pressure, again, coupling with those delayed blitzes, I think they can be really effective versus Louisville, who's efficient and patient on offense. Now let's move over to Louisville in this ball game, and when you look in the backfield, you already know about Teddy Bridgewater, but their running backs have been special all season long. That's Dominique Brown and Centerese Perry, and I think that's how they're going to have success versus this Miami defense. Miami wants to make this a passing game because that plays right into the hands of their ability to get pressure on the quarterback. But if they can lean on that defensive line and that has given up 4.5 yards a carry, I think Louisville can have some success. Now on the defensive side of football, you look at one of the most stingiest defenses in the country, a team that has held 9 opponents under 14 points. So against Miami, I think the focus will have to be getting pressure along the outside. Stephen Morris doesn't have the best pocket presence, and he tends to leave that ball hanging out there. So I think they can have some success with Marcus Smith coming around the edge, dipping that shoulder, getting pressure on him. And on the back end, again, the cornerbacks and safeties have to be able to communicate. We're going to talk about that later, but that's going to be the biggest key for Louisville defensively, communicating on the back end while getting pressure up front with their defensive line. The X factor for Miami will be getting pressure on Teddy Bridgewater. If they can disrupt the timing of that Louisville passing game, it goes a long way in helping these guys win the football game. And they can get pressure on him with delayed pressure, sitting guys down at A and B gap, maybe on the outside, but they have to be able to disrupt that timing, like I mentioned before, in order to have success defensively. And the X factor for Louisville will be their ability to win pre-snap on both sides of the ball. That means on offense, Teddy Bridgewater has to make sure he's in the right protection, and he has to check out of bad plays and into good ones. And on defense, they have to be able to be aligned properly. You don't want to get beat by alignment versus Miami, because they can gash you with big plays on the ground as well as through the air. Now here are some coaching points for both teams in this ball game. For Miami, they have to play with great run fits versus Louisville. They're going to see a lot of inside zone, a lot of power, a lot of lead. And if they can play with great run fits, it puts them in position to stop in the run at or behind the line of scrimmage. And I would also keep that offensive line on the move. I'm a big fan of how they get to the perimeter in the running game. Even without Duke Johnson, I think they still can have some success getting the edge versus the Louisville Cardinals defense in the running game by keeping those guards on the move. And I also look at Stephen Morris going against the Cardinals safeties. They love to rob the middle of the field. They love to take chances, so he has to be protective with that football in order for this offense to have some success. And for the Cardinals in this ball game, I look at the formation. Spreading out the Hurricanes could help them out in running the football. This is a very tough defense, and I think if they spread them out, widen out their zone responsibilities, it weakens that interior defense, and they'll be able to run the football. And they have to get better in the red zone. They have to come away with touchdowns. Right now, they're only scoring touchdowns on 59% of the trips inside the red zone. That can't happen this week versus Miami. And communication in the secondary is key. If you're going to pass guys off, you're going to play effective zone coverage, you have to be able to communicate. That's why you've had games where you blew coverages on the back end, and that led to teams sustaining drives and ultimately putting the ball in the end zone, i.e. the UCF game. Now here are some 2014 draft prospects you want to keep an eye on in this ball game. For Miami, linebacker Denzel Perryman is one of the best linebackers in the country at 6 feet 235. As a junior, does a great job on both ends of defense. And Stephen Morris has a sensational arm, can throw the football anywhere he wants on the football field, but can he be consistently accurate and can he avoid the big mistake? That's what we're going to be looking for in this ball game. Wide receiver Allen Hurns has tremendous size, 6'3", 195, He's healthy and he can catch everything thrown his way. And an intriguing prospect on that offensive line is Seantrell Henderson, 6'8", 345, big-time high school recruit. Can he put it all together and play consistent 4 quarters of football? And keep an eye on defensive end Shayon Green, undersized guy at 6'3", 265, but definitely has the speed coming off the edge. And Brandon Linder on the interior at 6'6", 320 is a fine guard prospect. And for Louisville, they boast the best quarterback in the country in Teddy Bridgewater. Nothing more needs to be said that this is a guy that you definitely want leading your football team. And I love their safeties, Calvin Pryor and Hakeem Smith. Both guys excel in coverage and also can run up and make the pop in a running game, especially Calvin Pryor. When we look at linebacker Preston Brown, solid prospect, 6 feet, 255, reminds me a lot of Greg Blair that plays for Cincinnati. And in the backfield, Michael Dyer, remember him, played at Auburn, 5'9", 215. He may come out early, as well as Devontae Parker, the big-time playmaker at receiver at 6'3", 210. And keep an eye on Marcus Smith, the senior, 6'3", 252, but plays like a guy that's 6'6", 270. Love what he brings as an edge rusher coming off the edge in the regular 4-3 defense. The Russell Athletic Bowl was once called the Florida Citrus Bowl, and in the 1991 game, the number 2 ranked Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets took on the 19th ranked Nebraska Cornhuskers, and Georgia Tech was the only undefeated team in the country that year, led by quarterback Sean Jones and running back William Bell. The Yellow Jackets dominated the favorite Huskers in this ball game 45-21, claiming a share of the 1990 national championship. The Miami Hurricanes took on a very tough Holy Cross team in the 1946 Orange Bowl. In what was an equally played game, Holy Cross made the crucial mistake in the 4th quarter as quarterback Gene DeFlippio was intercepted by Miami's Al Hudson, who went 89 yards as time expired for the game-winning touchdown as the Hurricanes walked away with a 13-6 victory. In the 1991 Fiesta Bowl, the Louisville Cardinals took on the Alabama Crimson Tide, and the Cardinals dominated Alabama in all 3 phases of the game: offense, defense, and special teams, scoring on all 3 to rout Alabama 34-7, where the Crimson Tide's only points came on a pick 6 thrown by backup quarterback Jeff Brom, as the Cardinals would finish the season with a 10-1-1 record. Ken Dorsey is one of the most accomplished quarterbacks in college football history. He was a 2-time Archie Griffin Award winner, 2-time NCAA Quarterback of the Year Award winner, and was a finalist for the Heisman back in 2001 as well as in 2002, and rewrote the Miami Hurricanes record book for passing with over 9,500 yards and 86 touchdowns. One of the most instinctive football players you'll ever see, and one of the best linebackers on both ends of defense that you will ever see, is Tom Jackson, who had an outstanding career for Louisville from 1970 to 1972, where he was a 2-time Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year. I like Louisville in this ballgame. Their defense is just as talented as Miami, but where they differ is the fact that they have a well-balanced offensive attack with the best quarterback in the country. So I think Louisville will win this ballgame over Miami in the 2013 edition of the Russell Athletic Bowl.